So today we will be learning about Pandas. Pandas stands for Panel Data Analysis. It provides many tools which you can use for data analysis and data manipulation. With the help of Pandas, you can work with two types of data structure. First one, series, which is one-dimensional data structure, and another one is data frames, which is two or more dimensional. So let's start with series. As it is very clear from the diagram, a series is a one-dimensional data structure. You can consider it like a 1D array or a 1D list, and collection of series can be termed as a data frame. If anyone wants me to go slow, then please raise your hand. Okay, so let's begin with series. As I mentioned earlier, series is a one-dimensional data object. So let's see how to code or how to create a series. Is the Jupyter notebook visible? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So what makes series different from NumPy array is that using NumPy array, you can't index your data. For example, in case of series, you can index your data with the help of access labels. I will show in just few minutes how we can do that. Okay. So let's create a series first. First and the foremost thing which we do is import the library. Pandas is the name of the library and PD is the abbreviation which I will use throughout the code. So first I will create a list. Say list 1 equal to, let's take a float, then a string. Okay. So to create a series, we use series method in Pandas library, and you pass the object of which you want to create the series. See here, 0, 1, 2, 3, these are the indices, and 1, 2, 4.56 ABCD, this is the data. This is a one-dimensional data. Similarly, you can create a series out of a tuple 2. Say 3, let's take a Boolean value. Same format should be followed. Pass the tuple, the object to it, and yes, you get the series. You can even create a series from a dictionary. Say 55 A, its value is false. Let's take a float value 5.06. Value is say hello. I will pass the dictionary to it, and you have got the series. As you can see, here the indices 1A and 5.06, these are nothing but the keys present in the dictionary, and the data 45, false, and hello, these are nothing but the values of the respective keys present in the dictionary. I hope everything is good up till now. So by default, I will save it in a variable first. Okay. By default, the indices are integers starting from 0. If you want to change the indices, you have an option to do that too. What you can do is pd dot series, pass the object, and you have to pass a list or a tuple of the elements which you want to keep as index. Say I want to keep index as A, B, C, and D. How many of them? There are 4 variables. See, the indices have changed to A, B, C, and D. Okay. You can check the type of SCR. Pandas, it is series. Okay. So there are some functions which you can use over series is say values. This will return all the values which are present in the series. If you want to see all the indices which are present in the series, cr dot index start 0, stop 4. As you can see, start 0. Okay. Suppose you want mean of the values in the series. So scr dot mean. Wait a minute. Sorry, mean is a function. Uh, okay. Yeah. So as long as all the elements in your series are integers or float objects, you can calculate the mean and max and min. Say I want to calculate standard deviations, and I will use std ser2. Okay, it's ser2 dot std. This I've got is the standard deviation of the elements present in ser2. Okay, just print ser2 once. Now you can see that 1 is present at index 0, 2 at index 1, 3 at index 2. But if you want to rearrange these elements, then you have a method in pandas for that, reindex. With the help of reindex, and pass the order in which you want to keep those indices. Say I want in order 3, then 0, then 1, and then 2. The order has changed according to the order which you pass in the list. Okay. Is everything fine up till now?
Yes.
If you have any doubts, then please post them in the chat window. Okay. Okay. Now we will see some mathematical operations on this data. Suppose I create two series. My series 1 is and my series 2 is okay. Now what I will do is 1 plus series 2 and print series 3. As you can see in the output, the indices which are present at the elements which are present at the respective indices got added with each other. In series 1, we have 1 at 0th position and 9 at 0th position in series 2. So both of them got added and gave the result as 10. Similarly, you can perform other mathematical operations too, like series 1 minus series 2. The addition of respective elements, the subtraction of respective elements is done. Similarly, series 1 into series 2, the multiplication, and similarly division. So this was all about series. After 2 minutes, we'll start with data frames. Any doubts up till now? Okay. So now we will be starting with data frames. As I mentioned earlier, data frame is a two-dimensional data structure, two or more dimensional data structure. You can consider data frame as an SQL table with many columns and many rows columns consisting of various data types. Okay. So how to create a data frame? Let's code for that. I will create a new notebook for that. Okay. Okay. So again, first and the foremost thing, import pandas as PD. I will also import NumPy because I will be requiring it further. Okay. Okay. Why did I include this line is that so that you can get the same random numbers as mine. Okay. So let's create a data frame now. Say df is equal to pd dot data frame, and I will create a 5 by 4 data frame. This will generate 20 random numbers, and I want to keep indices as A, B, C, D, and E. Since this is a two-dimensional data structure, I will also have to set the names of columns. I want to keep those column names as W, X, Y, and Z. So let's see how our DF looks like. So this is how our DF looks like. It consists of 5 rows named as A, B, C, D, and E, and consists of 4 columns W, X, Y, and Z. So this random function created 5 by 4 data frame with these 20 random numbers. Now let's see how to select columns. To select columns, write the variable name and pass the name of the column. See, you get the W column as output here. Suppose you want more than one columns, suppose you want to print more than one columns, then what to do? Pass a list of columns which you want to see in the output. Suppose I want W and Z. So I got W and Z, and with 5 rows A, B, C, D, and E. If I want to add a new column to this data frame, first let's check the type of this DF. Okay. See, pandas data frame. So everything is going good. If I want to add a new column to this data frame, so write what is the name of the new column. Suppose I gave it name new, and please mute yourself. Yeah. What did I do is I created a new column in the data frame using addition of elements in column W and in column Z. This resulted in new column. Now, if I want to remove that new column, so again we have a built-in function for that. That is df dot drop. Df dot drop. You pass the name of the column which you want to drop, and comma axis equal to 1. What this axis equal to means that you want to drop this column. If I mention axis equal to 0, then this will drop rows. Axis equal to 0 is used for rows, axis equal to 1 is used for columns. So see, the new column got dropped. Okay, now the new column has been dropped. If I try to print the same data frame again, then you can see that a new column is still present in the original data frame. Why did this happen? Is because this df.drop is itself a data frame and it removed the new column from that data frame. If you want the changes to be made to the original calling variable, then you have to mention an attribute called inplace. df.drop, the name of the column, access equal to 1, and in place equal to true. What this in place will do, it will make changes in the calling variable too. See, now the new column has been removed from our original data frame. Similarly, you can drop rows. df.drop which row you want to drop. Suppose I want to drop the row E, and can you guess what access number should I have right here? It's 0. It's the row E has been dropped. Again, I have not mentioned in place here. So to reflect the changes back into the calling variable, I will have to mention in place equal to true. But for now, I don't want to remove that column. Okay. Is everything fine up till now? Okay. Now let's see how to select rows. To select rows, we use lock method.
Saurabh, they are saying it's going too fast.
Okay, sure. I will reduce my speed a bit. If there is any doubt up till now, then please put them in the chat window. Our team will help you out, or in the WhatsApp group. Okay. So for selecting rows, we use lock method in the pandas. df, the variable name, dot lock, and pass the row which you want to select. See, this gave me the details of the row B. This row, you can see W, X, Y, Z and its corresponding data. Suppose I want multiple rows to get selected, then I will pass a list of rows that I want to select. Suppose I want to select row A and row C, then I will pass A, comma, C. I got row A and row C with all the columns. Now, what I want to do is I want to select row A and row C, but only column W and column X. For that, df dot lock will pass a list of rows which I want to select A, C, and list of columns which I want to select W and X. C. So this is how we select subpart of a data frame. Now, since the row names and column names were small, but this may become hectic when you have larger column names and row names. So instead of writing their names, we can select those by their index number also. For that, we use df.ilock. df.ilock. Suppose I want to select second row 0, 1, and 2. So basically, this will select the third row C, because the indexing starts from 0, 0, 1, and 2. So it is the C row. The name of the row is C, data type float 64. Suppose I want to select all the rows beginning from 0 till 2. So df dot ilock 0 till 2. I want to select all the rows from 0 till 2. That means 0, 1, and 2. But as you know, in slicing, the last element is not considered. If I mention 2, only 2 rows will get selected, that is 0 and 1. So I will write a number which is 1 greater than that, which is 3. This way, 0, 1 and 2. So I got A, B and C. Is everything fine up till now? Okay. Now, similarly, I want 3 rows and 3 columns, A, B and C, and W, X and Y. For that, I will use df.ilog 0:3, comma, W, X and Y. That means again 0 to 3. C. A, B, C, 0, 1 and 2, W, X, Y, 0, 1 and 2. If I want only the last column to get selected, so df.ilog 0 to 3 and only the last column. So last is also indicated by -1. So A, B, C. This is the Z column. You can check here. This is the Z column. A, B and C. 0.5, 0.6 and minus 0.58. 0.5, 0.6 minus 0.58. Okay. Now I want to select all rows. Okay. I want to select all rows and the last column. To select all rows, we can also mention just colon and -1. This colon means that you want to select all the rows. Okay. See, you have selected all the rows and you have printed the entire Z column. Okay. This was our data frame. Now let's see how to read a data frame from our system. For that, we use pd dot read underscore csv. Okay. For read underscore csv, let me check the location of my file first. Yeah. Yeah. Read underscore CSV is a built-in method present in Pandas to read CSV files. What is a CSV file? CSV stands for comma separated values. It means that all the elements which are present, all the data which is present in the file, it is separated by commas. Let me show you that file. I will open it in Notepad. See, the data is separated by commas. Yeah. Okay. CSV file also opens in Excel. Yeah. I will store it in a data frame first. df2 equal to pd.read csv and I will print df2. And now we will operate over this data frame. So this is your CSV file, which you can see here. So first let's check type of df2. Is the type of df2 is data frame. If I want to see first 5 entries of this data frame, so we can use head method df2 dot head. I got first 5 entries which are present in the data frame. You can also explicitly mention the number of first entries which you want. Suppose I want first 7 entries, so you can mention 7. Oh, sorry, it's df2. In this way, you got first 7 entries present in the data frame. Similarly, if you want last 5 entries at the end, so df2 dot tail method. This way you will get last 5 entries of the data frame. Again, you can explicitly mention a number, how many entries which you want. Suppose I want last 3 entries. So in this way, you got a last 3 entries. Suppose you want random entries, okay, any number of random entries. So df2 dot sample, and how many random entries you want? Say 4. So these are 4 randomly generated entries. Any doubts up till now? Speed is okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's see what are the different data types which are present in our data set. Okay, so df2 dot d types. As you can see, their animal is termed as object. All the characters and strings which are present in our data set will be termed as objects, and all the numbers or all the integers will be termed as int64 and float as float64. We have 3 columns present in our data set, namely animal, unique ID, and water need. Okay, so let's describe. Yeah, with the help of describe, you can get the statistical analysis of your data. Okay, unique ID and water need, these are the integers. You can get count how many, what is the count of values present in those columns. Again, mean, what is the mean of those values? STD, it stands for standard deviation. Minimum and 25%, 50%, 75%, these are the quantiles. These are the 3 quantiles and maximum value. Okay, you can specifically also see description of a particular column also. Say, I want to select column animal dot describe. See, this is the statistics of my animal column. Our animal column consists of 22 elements, which out of these 5 are unique elements, which means that these are repeated. And at the top, it is zebra, whose frequency is 7. Now you can perform mathematical functions over your data. Say, I want to find sum of all the elements which are present in water underscore need. What happened? Underscore need. What happened? Okay, it's df2. Yeah, df2 is the variable name. Water underscore need is the column which I'm selecting, and I want to perform sum of all the values which are present in that column. So it comes out to be 7650. Similarly, you can find standard deviation 2, then maximum value, then similarly minimum value. Okay. Similarly, you can perform standard deviation over your data, and unique method. This unique method tells you how many unique elements are there in the array. It will return an array of all the unique elements present in that column. If you want number of those unique elements, then you can use the method nUnique. This will give the number of unique elements, which is 18. Okay. Now value underscore counts. This is another method which is mostly used. Value underscore counts will give you the count of every value in that column. Suppose 220 is coming 2 times in my data set. 41, not data set, in that column in water underscore need. 410 is coming 2 times. 600 is coming 2 times, like that. Okay. Suppose you can perform conditional operations over the data set too. See, df dot animal equal to df2. I am selecting all the animals which are lions. So I have 4 lions in the data set, and I have used double equal to operator to selecting those. You can use logical operators if you have multiple conditions. Say, I want all the lions whose water underscore need is say great. Yeah, I am selecting animals which are lions and their water need is greater than 500. So with the help of logical operators, you can perform multiple conditions over a data. You can filter multiple conditions over a data. Similarly, if I want, again, I will take one condition. I want all tigers whose water need is greater than 300. I want to display their unique ID. So I will mention unique ID here, UNIQ underscore ID, unique ID. Okay, tiger. Yeah. So we got all the tigers whose water need is greater than 300 and it is currently displaying their unique ID. Okay. Everything fine up till now? Okay. So I think we are completed with another checkpoint. I will just see what all needs to be covered more. The shape function df dot to dot shape. Yeah. df2 dot shape 0. This gives you the number of rows which are present in the data set. 0 is used for rows. Similarly, if I want number of columns which are present in the data set, I will use df.shape 1. So there are 3 columns in my data set. As you can see from here, animal, unique, water need, 3 columns and 22 rows since the indexing starts from 0. Now, if you want to sort those values, you have sort underscore values function df2 dot sort underscore values by. Now, by what you want to sort your values? Say I want to sort by unique ID. I want to sort my data by unique underscore ID. So I will mention unique underscore ID. See, my data has got sorted by unique underscore ID 10012 and it has gone till maximum value. But now, again, if I try to print my original data frame, okay, yeah, it has got sorted. Similarly, if I want to sort by water underscore need, so df2 dot sort underscore values by water underscore need, comma, unique underscore ID. What this will do is it will sort the data set first by water underscore need, and then if 2 or more values are similar, then it will sort by unique underscore ID. Let's see. Yeah. So it has sorted by 80, 100, 200. It has sorted the water need. And whenever there are similar values of water need, see here, 220, 220, there it has sorted by unique underscore ID. So I hope this is clear to everyone.